Hey, good morning. It's Mark here with another morning rant. Time on deck, 4:42. My kids are up right now, so let me go ahead and get this out the way. I'm gonna give you guys a quick history lesson. Gonna surmise what happened over the weekend and give you a quick history lesson to try to tie it all in. American history. I'm not that savvy on European history, even though I like it and I'm very interested in it, and I would like to learn more about it. So, what's going on? Well, Ukraine used to be a part of Russia. Ukraine, Crimea used to be a part of the Soviet Union, and I think during the Cold War or after the Cold War, it was kind of broken up into these small states, and that's what Vladimir Putin did this weekend. He gave a long drawn out, bloviated history of Russian lands, and said that that Ukraine was not able to make their own decisions because they are part of Russia. They speak Russian language. They have Russian culture, things like that. But there's a couple of reasons why. Number one, and let me say this before I forget, Ukraine is on the verge of siding with NATO, national, or the North Atlantic Trade Organization, and they have a clause in NATO. I think it's the fifth clause or whatever. But whatever that clause is, it states that an attack on one state that's aligned with NATO is an attack on all. So that's why America's involved. So if you're asking yourself, why the hell is the United States getting involved in some overseas stuff that ain't got nothing to do with us? Well, these people may be they may become a part of NATO, and when when a NATO country is attacked, they all feel attacked. That's the pact that NATO has. And being that America is one of the most powerful countries within NATO, they're going to be the first one to speak out. They're going to lead whatever that's going on. So that's what Biden and Blinken, the Secretary of State, and a lot of different people have been talking to our foreign allies, saying, "Hey, we're not starting this. We're not a part of this. Look at what Putin's doing. It's his doing. We're just gonna surround. We're gonna send troops. We're not gonna send troops in Ukraine. We're gonna just send troops out there just to be ready. But it's not us. It's Putin. So this is not a George Bush thing where we just call out people and just go fight. No, this is Russia doing. So he does not want. So he gave a long history of Ukraine being a part of Russian territory at one point. And that's number one. And then number two, he don't want Ukraine to become a part of NATO because it'll be on their western flank. If you have a NATO country that's on Russia's border, that it not necessarily can spell trouble, but he look at it like trouble. It's no different than North Korea, South Korea, and China. The reason why they don't want South Korea to invade North Korea, the reason why they don't want South Korea and North Korea to combine into one democracy is because China does not want a democracy on their border. So China backs North Korea to keep South Korea, to keep democracy off its border, because you may have some people in China that want to defect, but they got to go through They got to go through North Korea first. So it's like there's a lot going on. So he gave this long drawn out speech talking about the history of Ukraine and things like that, right? But I want to give you guys a quick history lesson on Ukraine. So a quick history lesson on America. These are the two places, the LPR and the DPR, the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic. Forgive me if I said that wrong, but these are the two republics that he signed a order or decree saying he's going to back these two independent countries. So these two places are a part of Ukraine. I'll give you another larger context. Move me out of the way here. This area is the eastern part of Ukraine. All right, all of this over here in this little square over here, that's Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, Romania, Russia. All right. Here's the LPR and the DPR, right here, and these places are part of Ukraine. They're in Ukraine's borders, but these people have declared independence from Ukraine. So what Russia is doing is saying we're going to back that independence. And because they're independent, now that they're independent, we can send troops in as a peacekeeping mission. All right. So that's what he said he's going to do. Now, the history lesson. What does this sound like to you? This sounds like filibustering. Filibustering, before we filibustered in the Congress, we filibustered land. And again, I gotta do another humble brag. This goes into my thesis, my master's thesis on manifest destiny. We used to filibuster, and what filibustering was okay. You had the United States, you had French territory, you had Spanish territory, right? What we would do is Americans will go inside those territories. They would go into Spanish Florida, for instance. They would go into Spanish Florida and they would set up camp. Once Americans set up camp in Spanish Florida, they would beef with the Spanish territory, the Spanish authorities. Once they beefed with the Spanish authorities, they would declare their independence. Well, we're independent of Spain now. Once we declared our independence from Spain, America would back that independence. Once they back their independence, those people now would try to form their own state and then become a part of America. Let's go to Texas, because Texas was a part of my thesis. We did the same thing with Texas, and I talked about this before. The Mexican government, they welcomed Americans into their lands because, number one, they needed the land cultivated. Number two, they wanted to help fight off the Native Americans in the Texas territory. That was a part of Mexico at the time. Well, once Americans moved into Texas territory, they could not bring their slaves because, again, part of their stipulations were they had to become Spanish citizens. They had to learn the language. They had to convert to Catholicism, and they had to renounce their American citizenship. So people like Sam Houston and all those guys that are famous for Texas Revolution, those people were not American citizens because they renounced their American citizenship to go move into Texas. So once they did that, they were Mexican citizens, right? So Mexico abolished slavery, in the 1830s, 1836, 38, somewhere up in there, right? So now you got people coming in and they're bringing their slaves, and Mexico's like, hey, you can't bring them up in here. They're illegal. So you got a conflict. Because of that, you had a war, or you had a skirmish. They declared that, and Texas declared their independence, right? Texas declared their independence. James K. Polk, he did some other stuff too, which is another story that started a war down there. But they declared their independence, and before long, Texas became part of America. It's no different. So if you don't learn history, if you don't learn from the past, you will be doomed to repeat it. And that's what Putin's doing right now. Putin's taking a playbook out of, he's taking a playbook out of America, and he's taking part of the playbook out of Hitler. What did Hitler do? Hitler said, we want Lebensraum. What's Lebensraum? Lebensraum was like living space. It translates to living space for the German people, because he wanted to get his 1,000-year Reich back. He wanted to get his reign back. He wanted to get the Rhineland back, because when World War II was fought, after World War II, the leaders of World War II carved up the Ottoman Empire. They carved up Germany. They got rid of the Rhineland, which is very important to Germany, because the Rhineland was like their Pittsburgh. It was like their Rust Belt. They needed that area for manufacturing, and when you took the Rhineland from them, you took their manufacturing from them. So they got to pay these reparations, but they can't. There's no way for them to pay them reparations because they can't manufacture anything. So Hitler was like, let's get our old territory back, and then second, let's take the German-speaking people, because Austria speaks German, and parts of Poland speak German, and all these different states that surround us speak German. So let's get the German people back together. So it's no different than what Putin doing right now. And what happened? Well, we kept appeasing him. First of all, America was like, this ain't got nothing to do with us. England, United Kingdom, you guys handle it. And what Chamberlain was doing, I think Chamberlain, the prime minister before Churchill, he was appeasing him. He said, "Well, look, I'll give you back. We'll agree to the Rhineland. We'll agree to this. We'll agree to that. We'll agree to this." And every time you gave Hitler more space, he only wanted more space. The problem came when he tried to take Poland. When he tried to take Poland, that was like the last straw for the United Kingdom, and that's when you got the war. But still, America did not enter World War II until Pearl Harbor was attacked. So you got this dichotomy, not dichotomy, but you got this vast plan going here, where Russia is trying to do what America did a long time ago, and Russia is also trying to do what Hitler did a long time ago. And if we don't stop this now, we're gonna be doomed to repeat the past. And this may come into a world war scenario, because alliances got to be held. If I agree to this country, if this country agrees with me, if we're attacked, then we help. So that's what's going on. And the reason why Russia backed down and said, well, we're not going to just do a blatant attack, because they're not believing my rhetoric. We're just not going to do a blatant attack, because he didn't just directly attack. He's doing this. He's creeping, because you got the LPR and the DPR, right? And Putin has sent his troops in as a peacekeeping mission. So now he's crossed the borders into Ukraine. What are we doing? If we don't stop this, what are we doing? And then what's to say that the next time, let me show you again. So you got this area and this area, and then you got these two different grades, the darker gray and the lighter gray. So once they take over those two areas, who's to say that he won't come in this area here and then this area here in Poltava? I'm not going to pronounce these names no more. But who's to say he's not going to try to creep into these other areas? So we got to be careful. This is a manifest destiny type scenario. This is a Lebensraum type scenario. A living space type scenario for the German people. And for the Russian people. So that's my understanding. And it seems like nobody's talking about it on the news. So when I listened to Putin yesterday, I'm like, okay, this is clicking to me. It's clicking to me. But what do you guys think? Let me know what you think. I'm gonna leave it right here. Got some news coming up. I can't say anything right now because my wife would get mad at me. But got some news coming up. There's gonna be some changes, and I will see you guys and let you guys know what's going on soon enough. All right, y'all take care. I'm out. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Okay, it's Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week. I'm out. Y'all take care.